I'm Tom for Waterwise Botanicals, and I'm standing here in a mess of cactus. Look at all of these prickly pear cactus. Thorns, stickery. What's your first impression? Run? Get out of there? Well, today, my first impression is, I'm hungry. Yep. Can you believe that there's a nutritious, delicious meal growing right here in these prickly pear cactus? In fact, if you were a prepper and you're trying to think about how you would support and supply your family if times get really rough, I don't know if you've noticed, but those little tomato plants and little lettuce plants and things like that don't last very long. And if some kind of bad weather comes along or something, you're just out of luck. But did you know you can eat cactus? In fact, it's very popular with the Hispanic culture here in Southern California, and they call the fresh, new, young growth on certain prickly pear cactus Nopales. And if you look up and Google Nopales these days, you'll find out that that's even being considered a superfood. It's so nutritious. And so today we're going to show you a great new plant that has a much higher yield of young little baby tender growths that are edible. And also, the other very special thing about this variety of prickly pear cactus that's edible is that it is cold hardy. So a lot of folks who love to go out on the roads and collect little young tender nopales in the springtime can't do it if you live in New Mexico or Utah or northern Texas or central and northern parts of Nevada, even Las Vegas. It gets too cold and the regular Nopales cactus freezes. But this guy is cold hardy, down to single digits. And so in the spring every year you can look forward to bunches of delicious little new growth that they call Nopales. Now, the other thing about this new variety that we're introducing here at Waterwise Botanicals is that its yield, in other words, how many baby little new growths that it puts on in the spring, is probably 3 times the traditional Opuntia or cactus plant that is used for producing nopales and cutting the nopales off. By the way, that's spelled Nopales if you want to Google it and look it up, because there'll be recipes, there'll be dietary information, but this is a fantastic plant. And say times got really, really bad, I couldn't grow anything else, I wanted to have something that I could eat. Well, heck, if these are established, they're going to grow new little edible plantlets in the spring, even if there's been no additional water or anything, no care. They're amazingly tough. So today we're going to introduce you to the new variety of Nopales-bearing prickly pear cactus, and this one is called Opuntia Ellisiana. We grow thousands of them here, and you could get one planted in. You probably could get a nice harvest this spring off of what is just growing right now through spring and summer. And then next year, boom, there'll be enough to feed you and 2 or 3 of the houses next door to you. So let's take a look at the plant close up, and this is it right here. And this is what we're talking about, is this tender new growth. Now I want to introduce you today to Xiochi Mejia. Xiochi is our operations manager here at Waterwise Botanicals, but she also understands nopales, knows how to harvest them, knows how to cook them, knows how to prepare them, and knows how to eat them. So she's going to be helping us today in our Nopales project. Hi, Xiochi, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
All right, so you're an expert at this. So tell us what size cuttings we're looking for when we're out harvesting and collecting nopales. What's the biggest of these new growths that we can get and it'll still be tender and edible?
So this one, it can be perfect.
Oh, wow. So even this one that's almost the size of my hand, right? Because I was thinking these smaller ones, they're about 3.5, 4 inches. But you're saying that as long as they're tender still, and even that larger one is good. Why don't we cut some? Show us how you would cut them, and we'll drop them in the bag here because we're going to take these in. So you'll see that Xiochi's just cutting that right at the base, not the old pads, but the larger young pads, okay? So just go ahead and keep going here. We're going to collect enough to cook up today. Okay. All right. Okay, now you notice that she's not using any tongs or anything because these young pads hardly have any thorns on them. Now, I say hardly because you don't want to just pop that into your mouth because there are some tiny, tiny little thorns called glochids that we're going to deal with before we prepare them for the final cooking thing. So you're cutting them much larger than I would have expected, Xiochi. I'm thinking the smaller ones. Is there a reason why not to cut them when they're smaller this size? Would they be tenderer, or it just doesn't matter?
The flavor is not ready because if they're big, so it's easily to clean.
I see.
And,
so if it's larger, it's going to be easier to clean.
And different taste can be.
And a different taste too. Now this is a delicious Nopales. We tested these last year, and they're every bit as good as the traditional. In fact, they might have a little bit of a citrusy flavor to them. And I had several folks who eat them customarily that told me that they were really good. Okay, so you're getting the larger ones, and that's great because you get a lot more food yield when you're cutting them a little bit larger like that. Now, what we're seeing on here, these are not thorns. These are actually little leaflets on the new growth, okay? Now, last year when we tried these, I just said, you know what? This variety of Opuntia, our Opuntia Ellisiana, doesn't have any thorns, so I just popped it right in my mouth. And I got a tongue full of little glochids. And I thought, boy, am I in big trouble. How long is this going to hurt? Because I just imagined in my mind the little stickers being on my tongue and the roof of my mouth for weeks. It was amazing. Whatever goes on inside of your mouth dissolved them in just about a day, so I wasn't as miserable as I thought I would be. But still, the trick is going to be to de-glochid them, dethorn them before we finally eat them and cook them. So look at the yield though. Look how many baby new plantlets are on here. So that's going to be a tremendous amount of food available to eat. Now this plant, when it's full grown, can get to be about the third the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, okay? It's a pretty big plant, but it's nothing like the ones that we're used to and are customarily harvested here in Southern California, because those get to be 10 feet tall, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen them push over a whole fence.
Yeah.
But aren't there a lot of families who go out in the spring and just look for them on the sides of the roads and
so
stuff?
You can
and cut off little Nopales.
Yeah.
Right, that's good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is actually going to be a better plant in your yard space, your acreage space, because it doesn't get 8 to 10 feet tall and fall over, and it's not all gangly like that variety is. This actually makes a very tight, big mound, and man, again, just the food production that you get off of these is fantastic. It's a very durable, hardy plant. It's super easy to grow. So our next step is going to be to take our cuttings that we made here, and we're going to go into the kitchen and we're going to do some food prep. Now, Xiochi says she's going to clean off the little thorns with a knife, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what do you know about me? I burn everything with fire. I love fire. I have wood fires that we cook on all the time and stuff. So while Xiochi is going to clean these off with a knife, I'm going to try my method, which is to take it and hold it over a flame on the stove and see if I can singe off those little glochids. Does that work?
Yeah.
It does? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not completely crazy and just wanting to play with fire, right?
No.
Okay. All right. So here we are. We're actually at Waterwise Botanicals out in the 20 acres of flowers and plants and cactus. I mean, it's just an amazing place here. You can see up on the hill, we got flowering succulents. You can see the cactus flowering behind. Earlier in the spring, all of our cactus were just exploding in bloom. They're kind of finishing up for summer. But isn't this fantastic? We're growing plants that are super easy to grow, take very, very little water, very nutritious, and produce an abundance of food. Just food. You know, that's going to be maybe more important to us than we imagine if things get really tough some years down the road. But either way, if there's tough times or good times, this is delicious food and used widely in a lot of different recipes in Hispanic culture cooking. And we'll see if we can get this into some good old gringo cooking as well today. So I'm Tom, and we're going to sign out of the field here and head into the kitchen next and do some more work with Nopales, the superfood, super delicious food, and we'll even show you how to mix it into some recipes. Okay, Xiochi, ready to head in and show us how?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we were heading into the kitchen, and we walked past a cactus that got mixed in with the Opuntia Ellisianas. And this one is called Opuntia paraguayense. Now, this is another obvious prickly pear, right? I wouldn't say it's thornless. Look at those big thorns down here. But still, on the young new growth, see that right there? That might be delicious. It also might be awful. So we're going to take one cutting of that little nopal as well, and when we're doing our little cooking taste session, then we can try it out. Now, to me, this one looks like as the pads get older older and larger, they may get too tough. So I'm going to cut one that's a little younger, and we'll see if this might be another good variety for Nopales. By the way, if you look way down in the bottom, you'll see a red fruit. Now, the fruits of these Opuntias are also edible, and in fact, they make jelly out of them. It's sweet, and so that's another part of the cactus that's edible. And the fruits that are red like this are produced on both the Opuntia Ellisiana as well as this one Paraguayense that we're looking at right now. Okay, so let's get ourselves one pad here of this one too, and we'll try it out. It could be delicious. It could be awful. We're going to find out. Okay, so we're in the kitchen now, and we're talking about food prep on the Nopales. So Xiochi has a very wicked knife. It's sharp, and she's going to show us how she trims off the thorns so that you won't get little glaucids. Glaucids are the tiny little thorns on prickly pear cactus that you can barely see, but they have got a point to them, and they can be difficult if they get in your skin. So here she is shaving them off. You see that? So she gets the blade right down there to the edges of those spots. Every place that there's that little leaflet, that's also where a little thorn or a little spine can be. Xiochi, sometimes when you prepare nopales and then you guys eat them,
on the size.
Do you find ones that you missed?
No, because
you're pretty good at it. Okay, so she's trimming off the edge now. Why is that? Why do you trim off the edge?
Because sometimes has like a storm.
Okay, got it. All righty. Okay. So we trim off the edges. Here, let's get this out of your way. Nice. I don't know, I'm scared, Xiochi. If you miss a spot, I'm going to get poked. Okay. Now, when you go to cook it, do you cook the whole piece or do you slice it in longer strips?
Strips.
Okay, so we're going to cut this up in strips after she gets done cleaning off all of the little thorns. Okay, cut off the base where it's tough.
Okay.
All right. Now, people think that they're really smart. They invented Velcro. You know how you can stick things to people? I don't know if you know, but long before Velcro was invented, it was discovered that you can take a cactus pad full of thorns and stick it to people. Oh, that's just a little bit of cactus humor. Okay, so do we get the pan out and put some butter in it now, or what's the next step?
We boil them.
So you want to boil these, right? Okay, so we're going to do it probably two different ways. We're going to boil today. Oh, those are nice little chunks. We're going to boil today, but we're also going to take some strips that I do and put them on the barbecue. And I was thinking of kind of basting them in butter or olive oil and some garlic. Yeah, I think maybe we'll use olive oil and a little bit of garlic and some other herbs. Okay, so you're done there with your bit. Now I'm going to get my pad and turn on the stove and hold it with some tongs and see if I can safely burn off the thorns. Okay, so got another plant here coming up. Now while I'm doing that, Xiochi, why don't you this is our experimental prickly pear cactus. This is another variety. Okay, called Opuntia Paraguayense. That looks pretty tender to me. It could taste delicious or it could taste really nasty. So Xiochi's going to work on dethorning this while we take another pad over to the stove and we're going to see if we can clean off the thorns very quickly by just burning them off. So I'm reaching in, grabbing my prickly pear pad, my nopales, and we're going to bring it over here into the light of the stove. And got the fire going, flame on, and we're going to see if we can just burn off these cactus thorns. And you say this works also, Xiochi? Am I doing it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just figuring that we're getting all of those little cactus thorns, tiny, tiny ones, in the fire, and that the fire is going to burn them off. And the test will be, is I'll run my hand along it afterwards, and if there's any, believe me, I'll feel them when they get sticking in my hand. So, here we go. Kids, don't try this at home unless your mom is helping you, or dad, because it's never safe to play with fire. Okay, so I just kind of turn it all angles and try to get that where it's singeing in the flame, and see if we get all the little stickers off that way. Two different ways of making sure that they're dethorned. Now obviously these are varieties of cactus that they're almost thornless as it is. You know, many of the prickly pear cactus, there's so many thorns, it's amazing. You can barely even talk about it. Okay, what do you think here, Xiochi? Do you think we got it?
No, I think the best way to do it is with a knife.
So you like the best way with the knife, but I can't play with fire that way. But I don't feel any thorns, so I may have gotten them all. Maybe kind of safe. There, I'm feeling them on both sides with my hands. I think I'm kind of safe. Okay, so we're going to try it both ways.
So
Okay.
This part.
Okay. Oh, so Xiochi's got the other one. This is the Paraguayensis variety. She's going to get the other side. And while she's trimming on that, let's get a pot of water so that we can boil some of these. 1 pot of water coming up. What would you say the flavor is like, Xiochi? Kind of. Some people tell me it reminds them of bell peppers a little bit. Would that be accurate? Okay. Yes, she says. Okay, here we go. Got some water boiling for the ones that she cut up. All right. By the way, Julie is filming this for us. Julie is our media manager. She helps put out all of our social media. And so I've got lots of help today. I got Julie holding the camera. I've got Xiochi chopping nopales. And let's be sure not get that mixed with the others so we can do the taste test. Why don't we leave 1/2 not sliced, and I'll put it on the grill with this one. Okay, and then maybe we'll get a separate pot for that. Yeah, let's do that. We'll get one separate pot. Okay, I got the water boiling, or starting to boil, in one pot, and we're going to have a separate pot for the other variety. Because it'd be good to find out if this other variety produces a good tasting nopal also, because it's a beautiful plant. It gets really bright orange flowers, and it's also quite hardy. So it could be another food plant that we could add to our repertoire of plants that we could eat and get good nutrition from, and that take very little water or resources to grow. That's pretty cool, you know, to be able to grow food without hardly doing anything to it. Okay, so we got this all chopped up, and I'm going to take these right here and drop them in the pot where we can taste them separately in the small pot. And then we'll bring the others over here and drop these in the large pot. The water is heating up and getting ready to boil. Now, do you put any flavoring or seasoning in the water at this time, or you just boil it?
Boil with onions and salt.
With onions and salt. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you mind if I use garlic? Because I've got some powdered garlic I can throw in real quick.
We can try it.
No, it's not good flavor garlic. Okay, let's get onions. Let's see if I've got some dried onions here somewhere. Now, let's just dig out an onion real quick. Little teeny bit. Okay, let's see what I got in the fridge. Onion alert. I should have had this ready. There we go. Okay, Xiochi. Now, don't cry, Xiochi. Just cut the onions. Don't cry, please. All right, so a little bit of onion we're going to throw in, and a little bit of salt. I'm going to get some sea salt. Maybe. Nope, I don't see sea salt, so we're going to get regular salt. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you just put in a big slice of onion or two, huh? Just for some flavoring. Does that look about right? Little more?
A little bit more.
Okay.
That's it.
And a little bit here for our other one. Now, how long do they cook, or how do you know when they're done, Xiochi?
Probably like 30 minutes.
30 minutes? That's a lot.
Because this is a small amount, like
yeah.
20.
Okay, but I'm really surprised. I would think I would have thought they'd cook faster. But okay, so now let's get another piece ready to go, and we'll take it out to the grill. Let's see my piece. Oh yeah, my piece is ready to go. You want to hold the mic for me for just a minute, Xiochi, and I'll cut this into strips. And we're going to try my way on this one, and see if I can make it delicious also. So I like nice long strips that won't fall through the grill on the barbecue. And we're going to take those out. I'll grab a plate, and I'm going to melt some butter and some spices that I think will go nicely with it. Okay, we're outside. This is going to be Tom's grilling experience while Xiochi's pieces of nopal are cooking on the stove. They're cooking in water. So my idea was to grill some. Now, Xiochi told me that they just put on the full pad instead of cutting it up in strips like I did. Now remember, this is the one that I singed to get rid of the cactus spines. So I'm going to put this on the grill. I've actually basted it with just some butter and garlic and a little bit of Creole seasoning. Now the thing about cactus before they're cooked is you see it's kind of slimy. So is the cooking going to take away the slime, Xiochi, when it's all done? Or are they always a little slimy?
It's gonna be slimy.
Always a little slimy. All right. Well, you know, everybody needs slime in their diet. So so I'm just putting them on the grill. And the two smaller pieces are our experimental variety, the Opuntia paraguayense. So we'll see how that rolls also. So I've just got these on the grill. Going to baste them with just a little bit more butter and garlic and stuff that I threw in. And we're going to let those cook a while. So we'll close the door. After that, I have in mind to get some tortillas. We just want to have something that we can taste test this. So we're going to throw some tortillas on the grill, and then maybe a little bit of cheese and a little bit of salsa, and just see if we can make us a nopal taco, nopal street taco. Okay, so signing off for a few minutes while we're waiting for this to cook. Here we are about halfway through the grilling process on these strips, and the color changes to a nice golden color, and they just got to keep cooking some more. I think I'll baste them again with just a little bit of my super stuff. There we go. That looks yummy. It smells good, I can tell you that. Okay, and I think it's about time to throw a tortilla on or two, because what we're going to do is we're going to give us a way to have a little taste treat on this. I don't know if taste test is the best all by itself, because it's generally used not by itself, right? It's used mixed with other cooking, right? Yeah, carne asadas it's put in. And then you said you also, let's see, what else did you tell me you did? So, oh, and you make like pico de gallo out of it, right? Pico de gallo usually is like chopped tomato and onions and a bunch of other flavors, but this time it's going to be chopped nopales as part of it, which you could mix in with tomato also. Okay, so we're going to close this up again, let things cook and heat for a while, and we'll come back to it in a few minutes. All right, we've been grilling for about 15 minutes. We also took some tortillas, melted a little cheese on them. I'll warm them back up for just a few minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to take our nopales and we're going to fold it into there. And this one, fold that guy into there, and a little bit more, a little bit more. And our two trial ones of our other variety, we got to see if that tastes any good or not. That'll be interesting. Okay, and I've already melted cheese on there. So now, can you hold that for me there, Xiochi? So now we're just going to pull these off. They're all warmed up. Be very careful to use cooking tongs on the barbecue all the time. Okay, and we'll turn that baby off. We will take a little bit of salsa. And we can fold that up, and we're going to actually have our first taste test here. You get to all join us. Is this making you hungry watching this? Okay, let's go inside and see how we come out on this. All right, so we brought these inside. It's like we made a nopales street taco. Okay, I like a little salt on mine, so I'm going to put some there. I don't know how much salt you guys like on yours, so I'll let you do accordingly. And we're going to do our first taste test right here. Okay? So here we go. What do you think?
Delicious.
Is that a good nopal or what? Now, does that taste the same as the other, or is it a little more lemony?
The same.
It's about the same? It's delicious. It actually is. I think we just became champions of a new superfood. Don't forget, this is Opuntia Ellisiana. You could come and buy a 5-gallon plant that already has like 20 of these new Nopales pads coming up on it. Get started eating, and you know what? When you cut those off, it's going to grow more. And it'll keep growing more all through spring, summer, and fall. A tremendous amount of superfood production. Now we're going to go to the ones that we cooked by boiling them in water. So Xiochi, you want to go ahead and prepare those, and let's see how that turns out. Now while she's doing that, I'm very scared of this other variety. We did Opuntia Paraguayense. That's this piece right here. And I'm going to taste that and see if it's horrible or if it's another good nopal. Let's try it out. That is delicious. That's fantastic. I'm glad we found another variety that produces food. And you know what? When I taste these, they taste lemony to me. It's really nice, almost citrus type flavor. Now, Xiochi, did you like my spicing that I put on it?
I do.
But you told me no garlic. Oh man, I taught her a thing or two today. So we just put on a little bit of garlic and herbs, and we put on a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Cook that up with the cheese and a little bit of salsa. That's really delicious. We're going to take half of these into our staff in the office and show them how delicious it is to eat cactus. Get the point? Okay, we're trying Xiochi's boiled next. How do you want to do this? You want to just finger taste some? Let's see how that goes. Now remember, hers has onion. I'm going to throw a little salt, and we're going to try that. That's actually really good. Do you like it? So would you say different than the one that traditionally used, the Nopales traditionally used? Is it different, the same? Because it could be the same, but boy, the plant has so much more production. What do you think on that flavor?
I think a little bit different.
A little bit different. Is it a little more lemony to you? Is that what it tasted like to me?
Yeah.
Xiochi's like a wine taster, except she's a cactus taster. So this is how you do it. This is how Xiochi does it. I'm going to show you. You put it in your mouth, and you go, and then you swish it around in your mouth a little bit and go, oh, yes, 2023, that was a great year. It was the rains that made it so delicious that year. Great vintage of Nopales, Waterwise Botanicals. Take that and stick it in your bottle. Tom for waterwisebotanicals.com. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring some into our office staff and have them do a taste test and see what they think, okay? So here we go. This one is the barbecued ones, okay? See there, we put them in a little bit of a tortilla with some salsa, and they were barbecued with butter and garlic and a little bit of Cajun seasoning. And then this one is where Xiochi did it more traditional Mexican style, and she boiled it with a little bit of salt and onion. So we wanted you guys to taste test these if you would like. Okay. Would you like to try that? This is Chris, by the way. Chris is our administrator here at Waterwise Botanicals. And then we're going to get over to the lovely Marjorie, who is also in our office staff. She's been with us for a lot of years. She's amazing. So would you like to go ahead and give it a try? This is like a Nopales street taco. Let's have you taste it and see what you think. Look at Chris.
So I do have regular nopales in my yard.
Chris has regular nopales in her yard.
And these are delicious. They're a little sweeter
Oh,
than the regular ones. I feel like the regular ones are a little more sour.
Got it.
They're very good though.
So you like this even better.
I do.
That's fantastic. And you know, because we were looking at the plants out there, they put out like 10 times more nopales hojas or leaves or pads than the regular one does. So they're really, really high production. Okay, well, there's Chris is a thumbs up, right?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay. She liked it so much it turned her red hair green. Okay. Now, how about you? Did you hate it, Marjorie? How's that for you?
Is this all for me?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Thank you.
We melted a little bit of cheese on it as well and put some salsa with it. What's your thoughts about it? You love that?
It's delicious.
Right? Can you imagine that you could grow that with hardly any water or care? And even if the whole world goes to pot, it would still be growing in a scraggly spot in somebody's yard or the edge of the road.
I like that.
And this is the brand new variety of edible cactus. This is Opuntia Ellisiana. The one that used to be traditionally eaten for its Nopales is Opuntia Burbanks thornless. But it's a really big gangly plant, and it doesn't put out nearly as many edible pads as our variety. So be sure and come to Waterwise Botanicals to get those yummy edible pads and on a 5-gallon plant, and you're going to be in Cactus Pad City cooking up delicious food recipes of a superfood that's very nutritious for you, your kids, your family. And you know what? When your kids grow up eating cactus, they're going to have a thick spine. They can take a lot of hardship. Tom, for Waterwise Botanicals, I'm out.